So this is the sunset meta with this kind of trail of dirt behind the car. It was only found... What's up everyone, Identix here. Welcome to today's Mastering GeoGuessr. The country we're gonna look at is Oman. Oman can be a bit tricky to identify. It can look like some other countries, and we're gonna take a look at that in just a minute. But being able to identify Oman from other countries can award you huge points. If you want more of this type of content, please consider subscribing, and dropping a like or comment means a lot to me. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first of all, do you think Oman is a hard country to get right? Well, I think so. Actually, a lot of the time I think Oman looks like a couple of other countries. So which one of these do you think is Oman? Only one of these pictures are taken in Oman. Well, do you know? Yeah, it can be hard, right? This is the countries they're taken in. Surprised? Also, I took a couple of more here. Look at these four. Can you identify which one of these four is Oman? Here's the right answers. Did you get it? If you did, good job. It's not too easy. Oman is not the biggest country, so the most important thing is to get the country right. If you get the country right, you will always get a lot of points. But of course, we'll look a bit at how you can identify where in Oman you're gonna put your pin. We're gonna use Plunkett. They have a very nice site on Oman and have a lot of good info. Almost too much info, but we're gonna pick out the most important things today, okay? So starting off, how to identify Oman from other countries. As you saw in the pictures I put up, it's not always easy to see what's what, right? So here is the Oman flag. If you see this flag, you're in Oman. The website domain they use is .om, so should be easy enough to remember. The driving side, of course, is right side, and the camera generation is only Gen 4. And that means if it's not 2024 or newer in the copyright number, it's not Oman, because Oman was added last year. So it's relatively new, and all the coverage should be in pretty good condition and always generation 4. So that's really good to know. Most of Oman is a desert landscape. There's not much vegetation, and the middle is mostly flat. The north coast has some dry mountains, rocky mountains, that looks a lot like the ones you find in UAE, the country to the west. On the south coast also, there's some mountains. They are less dry though. Here is a quick look at the topography. So you can see these are the dry rocky mountains I was talking about. This little bit out here is also Oman. In the south part here, you can see there are some mountains too, but they have more vegetation and not so extreme or rocky, I would say. In middle, there's mostly just flat desert landscape. Okay, this is one of the more important things for region guessing in Oman, so keep this in mind. The license plates there are yellow, just like Israel, but there's no blue strip on the left side. And the commercial vehicles have red license plates, so they will be really easy to spot out. So yellow and red. All the coverage in Oman is taken with this kind of pickup truck. So that's another thing you have to look at. If it's not a pickup truck, it's not Oman. Easy as that, okay? But sometimes the whole car will be blurred, but you'll see the antenna in the front, and also the blur will be really big, and you can easily, after some practice, spot out what blur is pickup truck and what blur is a smaller type of Google car. The official language in Oman is Arabic. You can see some English writing because of the tourism. One thing with Oman, which is huge to distinguish it from, let's say, like Peru or Chile, is that the stripes on the outside, they are yellow, and in the middle it's white. Of course, this is also common in the UAE, Israel, Jordan, as well as Qatar. Black and yellow curves like this, you can see throughout Oman, really common, also in the UAE. So now you know that. The buildings and the architecture is also very similar to UAE. A lot of these tips will be for both UAE and Oman, kind of, but yeah. The buildings are like light colored stone, and they're blocky like Minecraft houses, you can say, but still quite ornate, which means they're pretty detailed, like you can see by the windows and the gates and stuff. The directional signs in Oman are blue, these big blue signs, and they usually have Arabic and English. So if you see one of these, you can probably find it on the map if you have the time for it. UAE and Qatar, they use similar signs. Also, the signposts in Oman have black and white stripes, and that can be more useful because within the Middle East, striped signposts are only found in Oman and the UAE. So it will never be Israel or Jordan or any of those countries. Good to know. So for the poles, Oman uses a lot of poles, more than its neighboring countries. As you can see here, there's 3 main designs, and this one in the middle, which has the triangle above the pole itself, this is unique to Oman. The poles are wooden as well. This is also a design with the insulators at the side, and this one is more of a common design in other places as well. But this one is the most unique one for identifying Oman. The chevrons in Oman are tightly spaced black arrows on a yellow background like this. And also these gigantic voltage pylons, they are painted red and white, and that is mostly common in Oman. There's also, of course, some trash bin meta for the UAE, and these are the 2 types of trash bins you can find in Oman. They're usually black or silver metallic gray, and they have this 3-leaf logo, and the text will be BE and the small sign here and AH. The UAE occasionally will have the BA, but that's one more E for the UAE. So if you see just these 2 letters, the sign in 2 letters on a silver or black trash bin, you are in Oman. There is a lot more to talk about with these trash bins, but I'm not gonna do it in this video. It's way too detailed, but if you want to take a look at it, the link for the Plunkett page is in the description below. Oman uses white taxis, and they have an orange colored panel on each side. So you can see a picture of it here. I would almost say they're more red than orange, but yeah, don't trust me on that. So that's it for how to identify Oman. I would say for most of the countries that looks like Oman, they will either not have the right pickup truck that we talked about. They might not have the right copyright date, so it has to be 2024 or newer. And also in some of the countries that looks like Oman, they will not have yellow outer lines on the road. And also, of course, the placement of the sun. If the sun is clearly to the north, you're not in Oman, because Oman is north of the equator. So if the sun is north, you might be in Chile or Peru or something like that, okay? And now for the region specific rules. As I said in the beginning, this is not as important because Oman is not the biggest country, but I'll pick out a few of my favorites, which will be accurate. There are a lot of rocky mountains to the north coast, as you see the red part here. Dry, rocky, mountainous landscape. Also, you have a picture here of the south hills. If you remember, they are not as dry. They have more vegetation and they're not as tall. So if you see this kind of landscape, try the very south part here. This can award you some good points if your opponent guesses in the north here. We'll take a quick look at this one. If you see a sandy desert with light colored green and yellow shrubs like this, you are probably in the northeastern Oman. Yeah, you can see on the map here approximately where you want to guess if you see this kind of landscape. And also another quick note is that Salalah, which is the most southern part here, is almost totally flat, but the hills we were talking about is right to the north here. So if you're in a totally flat landscape with maybe some ocean to the south and you see some mountains towards the north, you're probably in Salalah. So we'll talk about a couple of trees that you can find in Oman. If you remember, there is not much vegetation at all in Oman, but the trees you'll find there will mostly be acacia trees, like this one. If you play Minecraft, you know a lot about acacia trees. They're pretty flat on the top and short in height. So like an umbrella type of look to the top here. They're mostly in the north coast, but you can also find them along the coast of the whole country, so don't guess too far inlands if you see these. Another nice tree to know is the date palm plantations. And they are most common along the northern coast, as you see here. You can also see some coconut palms, but they are usually found near Salalah in the most south part here. So, but if you see these tall date palm plantations, try to guess north coast. As I mentioned before, the trash bin meta in Oman is very deep. Yeah, you can identify the numbers on the side and then you can see what area you are in, but it can be hard to find the numbers and very hard to remember all this. I wouldn't say this will give you too much of an advantage. If I have to pick up one favorite is if you see these kind of more Western style trash bins, the narrow ones, you can almost only find them in Muscat, which is here, and the eastern Al-Batina. So you see the red parts here of the map. Small bins, you're here. But the most important one is to remember the tree leaf logo design with the BE.AH. So for the car meta, if you're really good at remembering car meta, Oman has a lot of it. You can see here so many tips. So I can't really go through them all here, of course. But let's take a look at a few of the more specific ones. So if you see the normal antenna on the car is bent forwards like this, you're only in this area. So that can be quite huge, right? If you see this car and the antenna is bent forward, try Muscat area. So there is a lot of cable meta as well. So you see how the cables coil, how many cables, etc, etc. But a good one to remember, which can award you some good points, is this one. If you see a car with cables on both sides, so if the car is not blurred and you can see cable on the left and cable on the right, this is only found in the central Dhofar governorate, which is, yeah, central part of this governorate right here. So for one more cable meta, if you see this cable just hanging in a loop and goes down into the truck bed like this, you're only in this small area right here. So if you want a 5K, this is probably just one road, I think. So yeah, looping cable hanging down, you can find in the south part of this governorate. And if you see a cable on both sides, it's this governorate. We'll mention this one as well. So if you see a dirty roof covered in small black specks, that means you are in Western Al Wusta governorate, between the 39 and 31 yellow roads. And you can see on the map here where that is. And for the two last car meta tips, if you see a water bottle down in the left side of the trunk behind here, you are in this part. So just think top middle of the middle governorate. And if you see this kind of dirty brown splatter stain on the roof, you are around Sohar, which is all the way up here on the northwest part. So now for a couple of spotlights, honorable mentions, if you will. If you see this lone standing mountain, you can see it from afar just southeast of Nizwa. The mountain is more wide than tall and has a crown-like shape. So if you see, you're in this red dot part right here, if you see this one lone standing mountain. Another tip that will be decently easy to remember is this one. Around the town of Ubar, which is here, you can find patches of green agricultural land surrounded by desert, as you see on this picture. So if you see green landscape surrounded by desert, click the middle of the southernmost governorate here. Also, you'll see some oil drills. They're mainly in two areas of Oman. So you can see in the more southern part here and also in the more northern part. Another tip for the coverage in the Musandam governorate, which is this cut-off part in the top here, which borders to UAE. You will usually, but not always, have a coast to the west side, and you will not find that in any other place in Oman, basically. So if you see the coast to the west side and you know it's Oman, it's the very top cut-off part here. If you want to go super in detail and just become like the best Oman player in the world, there is a lot of meta for the different roads. You can basically learn all the different roads because they have different characteristics. But yeah, that's way too specific for me or for most people, so we won't look at this. But yeah, again, Plunkett, the link is below if you want to look at it. But let's do two bonus tips for the roads, okay? Maybe you can impress someone or win a duel here. If you find this unpaved road that features sunset coverage with a dust trail behind the car, you are in this specific part right here in the most southern governorate. And also, almost in the same place, you have this road with regular road lines, but it has white dots in the middle between the white stripes. And this can only be found on the road at the side. So you can see the same spot. So that's it for all the Oman tips from Plunkett that I could include in this video today. As I said, the most important thing is to learn how to identify if you're in Oman or not. Do you remember the best tips for it? Look at the road markings. In Oman, they have yellow outer lines. Also, the sun will be to the south. There will always be coverage with a white pickup truck, or the blur will be very wide and antenna at the front. And lastly, the copyright year will always be 2024 or newer. So these are the most important parts. But we're gonna try just a few games here and see if we can region guess where in Oman we are with a Plunkett Oman map, which I will also link below if you want to try that out, okay? We're gonna play no move, let's go. Okay, so this is the standard type of trash bin in Oman. So take a good look at that. Of course, we didn't learn all the metas here. So is that a... No, it's a backward spent antenna, I think. So it's not the one I mentioned. You can see these poles here. Yeah, English and Arabic. And the yellow signs. Here you can see the unique pole top for Oman. So if you saw this one and you were playing the normal world map or a duels, you'll probably guess Oman if you see this. But yeah, where in Oman are we? I think maybe north coast. Yep. Okay, big blur. It's a backward spent antenna again. Doesn't help us too much. Light gray trash bin. I think this is the Oman flag actually. So they do use it quite a bit. You can see the ornate part. These are pretty detailed, the roofs and stuff, even though, yeah, you can see a lot of detail on the houses. This is very normal in Oman, but also UAE. We can see some palms here actually, but is this the north part with the date palms? We'll try it out if we just go, yeah, somewhere like here. Yeah, it was the north date palms. Good to know. Okay, so now we're far out in the desert. These are some oil rigs. Yeah. And flat landscape. So the oil rigs, you could find them, I think it was around here and around here, or was it here and here? I think this would be more up here somewhere, maybe. Could we line up the road here then? Maybe here? It's probably not a yellow road, so yeah, let's try over here. Okay, it was the other place. So now you know how it looks down there as well. But yeah, oil rigs here or here. This is lucky. So this is the sunset meta. If you get a sunset with this kind of just dirty dirt landscape and the trail of dirt behind the car, it was only found on the 43, right? The road is fairly straight.
A few moments later.
I'm not sure. Okay, it was around the same place, so yeah, in a duel that would be huge points. Okay, rocky, hilly landscape. Some vegetation, but not much at all. This is an acacia tree. Yeah, this is a classic northern, right? Ooh, this is the forward bent antenna. I'm pretty sure, yeah. So that was only like in the Muscat area. Yeah, we'll just try here somewhere. Yeah, nice, good to know. All right. Okay, so very deserty landscape. You see, this is the metal triangle, which extends above the wooden pole itself. This is Oman exclusive. So remember that. But yeah, this is very sandy. Almost sunset looking, but not the same as before, I think. I think this would be more in the inner part here somewhere. Just gonna guess here. It was in the desert, it was in the sunset area. Okay, good to know. Okay, so we see some palms, but it's not a plantation. There's a town over there. Don't think we learned anything from this part. Very deserty. Let's guess here somewhere. No, it was this area again. Huh. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, I think this must be, yeah, mountains to the north, right? And we're in a totally flat landscape. This has to be the Salalah region or the town. Yeah, Salalah. Can we maybe 5k this? Yeah, hard to say. Okay, so not a 5k, but that, imagine that in a duel. That will be huge if your opponent guesses up here somewhere. Very nice. I think, yeah, I saw there was some talk of some hazy coverage like this. If I remember right, I think it was. Like in this sort of region up here. It was not. It was not. Okay. Yeah. This looks... Okay, this is more green looking, the mountains. So we were probably at the... somewhere in the ridge. We'll just plunk down here. Right? Yeah. Nice. Okay, we'll do one last one. Big blur, so this is a pickup truck blur. If you see this and you see the copyright, it's 2026. And the yellow outer lines would be a nice Oman. This must be the shrubs by the road, right? Did I mention this in the video?
Bruh.
Do I remember though? I think it was up here, right? Okay. Sure. Here you see the striped signpost poles. Distant mountains to the south. Not too sure about this. We'll still just try here somewhere. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wow, this is green for Oman. Wow. Okay, so this has to be probably on the south coast here or here somewhere. We'll try down here. Okay, was this coast? Yeah, can be pretty green up here as well, so keep that in mind. Alright, this is sandy again. Not much to see. I will guess up here. No. Okay. More sand, but this is more elevated, I think. Could it be like up here somewhere? Almost. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Let me know in the comments what country you want next. If you struggle with Norway, try to watch this one. And I'll see you in the next video, okay? Bye!